As we now go straight to Twickenham, commentary of England-Scotland with Chris Jones and the team.
Thanks very much, Ian. Big win for Manchester United. There's still Premier League football to come. Newcastle, West Ham over on Sports Extra 5:30, 6:06 at 7:30. But the focus for now is here at Twickenham. England 0, Scotland 0. 13 minutes gone, and for the first time in the 13 minutes, Scotland are in the England half, and they're almost up to the 22. Good ball, Russell. Hugh Jones siding through. He almost steps Hassel-Collins. What an offload from Jones. Scotland are a metre or two away, and they have numbers to the left. Jones goes into play at scrum half. He gets it wide to Schoeman, who's only a metre or two short. Scotland have won the last two Calcutta Cup matches, and they're pressing for the game's first points and the game's first try. 5 metres out, the scrum half white. Out to captain Jamie Ritchie, 15 metres in from touch. They're only 5 metres out from the England line. Advantage to the Scots. Schoeman with another big carry, the loose head prop. Twickenham nervous as Scotland press. 14.5 minutes gone. Listen to the noise round Twickenham. Wide to Tuipulotu, who kicks for Jones, who's going to score unopposed. Hugh Jones started it. Hugh Jones finishes it. And after soaking up loads of England pressure, it's Scotland who have struck first at Twickenham. Matt Dawson.
Well, for me, it's simply brains versus brawn. England have had plenty of possession, plenty of territory, but they're just trying to be thundering through physically, kicking the ball long and hard, and all of a sudden, lovely intricate line out, John Barclay to win the ball, a cute little late pass in the midfield, and then a kick through. Lots of brain from the Scots.
Absolutely, Matt. I think the first phase for me is so important, the ability to play it flat. That man, Sione Tuipulotu, makes the grubber. He was so integral to first phase. The ball went over the top, multiple options late to the line. I think Owen Farrell went after Finn Russell. We saw him clatter him early on in the game, and then a lovely touch by Sione Tuipulotu, puts the ball on the boot. It's an easy try for Scotland there.
Hugh Jones was the hero of this fixture in 2018. The captain that day, John Barclay, with us here on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. And Jones has done it again. Enterprising, clever stuff from Scotland. They won here 2 years ago in an empty stadium. Plenty of Scots have made the pilgrimage south as Russell knocks over the extras. England 0, Scotland 7.
I mean, listen, the listeners just coming straight in here are going to think, oh my goodness me, what has happened? England are a debacle from where they were in the autumn. Listen, for the first 15 minutes, England had some control at times, maybe some poor kicking, the odd poor kick, but had some control. But what you just saw there from Scotland was just heads up, here's an opportunity, let me see what's in front of me, what the option, that's a good option, executed well.
Scotland inside their own 22 with Schoeman. He's been prominent, hasn't he? Scotland lead by 7. Matt Dawson, World Cup winning scrum half, with us on 5 Live. So too Calcutta Cup winning captain John Barclay, and another World Cup winner, and Katie Daly-McLean is on the touchline. We'll be with Katie shortly, but a penalty to Scotland, and that, Matt, is where England, for all their endeavours early on, a little knock-on at the base from Jack Van Poorvliet, a neck roll penalty, another penalty, Scotland in their own 22. They can't afford to give Scotland easy outs like that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what regime you're under, you've got to be in control of your discipline. Have to be your tactical discipline, how many penalties you give away, where you are positionally, the moves that you call. There has to be an individual responsibility of the England players that needs to improve under whatever regime they're in.
Absolutely, Matt. I think, interestingly, when all that possession England had in the first 15 minutes, Scotland managed to not give away a penalty amongst all of it.
Remember, Scotland have dominated this fixture in recent years. They won here 2 years ago. They won at Murrayfield last year, won at Murrayfield in 2018 under the captaincy of John Barclay. But this time, it's Scotland who lose their discipline. They threw over the top of the line out through Turner. Well claimed by Tuipulotu, who made that Scotland try with the clever kick through to Jones. But Scotland go off their feet. Smith clears the touch, a chance for us to just rattle through the two lineups. England against George and Sinclair up front in the front row. Itoje and Chesham in the second row. Ludlam, Ben Curry, profiting from twin brother Tom's injury. He's at 7. Don Brandt 8. Van Poorvliet and Smith 9 and 10. Owen Farrell partners Smith in the midfield. Joe Marchant at outside centre. Ollie Hassel-Collins on debut. Max Malins and Freddie Stewart make up the back three as England get their line-out drill wrong. And George Turner, the Scotland hooker, comes thundering away. Finn Russell wants it. He sees some space and kicks down the middle of the pristine Twickenham pitch. Cleaned up by Freddie Stewart, only 22, only his 18th cap, but he looks to the manner born at this level, as he has done since his debut in 21. Freddie Stewart. Max Malins is back in the fold, and he sends up a Gary Owen into the darkening Twickenham skies. Taken by Duhan van der Merwe, the try-scorer, here a year ago, when Scotland broke their Twickenham hoodoo. 38 years of hurt gone. Schoeman again carries up. Ben Curry's on that ball looking for a turnover, but Ben White has it. And you'd imagine that Russell will look to clear his lines. No, for now they use Luke Crosby wearing number 7 inside the Scottish half, 30-odd metres out from their own line. And do you think, John Barclay, the experiences Scotland have had in this fixture will just give that undercurrent of confidence to this side?
I think they'll be confident. There's also enough maturity in that group to know it won't be easy. I'm slightly surprised by England right now, a real reluctance to run the ball back, even to play a phase and to see the way that the Scottish backfield are shaping up right now. That middle part of the pitch, every time they get the ball, that ball is going in the air.
Steve Borthwick's regime, only 6 weeks old. He's promised a new era and a new chapter of English rugby, but he's also said it won't be perfect. As Swing Low Sweet Chariot rings around Twickenham, 82,000 packed into this famous rugby venue, as Scotland might look to run it through Stuart Hogg. Good tackle, Marcus Smith on his own 22 is Hogg, but Scotland just slowing it down through Ben White. Loads happening in the Premier League, as we heard from Ian Dennis and Chris Waddle and all our reporters around the ground. Big win for Sean Dyche and Everton earlier, 1-0 at Goodison. Victory for Brighton, Brentford, Wolves 3-0 over Liverpool, and Leicester 4-2 away at Aston Villa. Loose ball's been hacked on by Malins. Somehow that's ended up back with Max Malins inside the Scottish 22. Good chance this for England. Jamie George throws a dummy. Only 13 metres out or so are England, looking for the first point of the Borthwick regime. Malins the first receiver. Here goes Ollie Chesham almost up to the line. A bit of luck to get into this position, England, but can they make the most of it? Here for Van Poortvliet, penalty advantage to the English. Van Poortvliet, the ball shoots out and he flips it up to George. Farrell over to Marcus Smith. Will he go crossfoot or will he run himself, Marcus Smith? Great ball inside to clubmate Dombrandt. Beautifully presented for Van Poortvliet. Good pick up Ellis Genge, but he loses it. Almost trying too much there, Genge. What a chance for England's gone begging, Matt Dawson, but they will have the penalty.
Oh, Genge just didn't need to do that. Didn't need to try and do a little fancy out the back pass to Farrell coming round. As simple hands, Farrell is strolling under the sticks, but Scotland, having such control in the backfield, were in disarray from a fairly nothing kick through from Mark Malins and put themselves under enormous pressure.
Yeah, big opportunity there for England. You got to think they're going to go for the tap and pass move 5 metres out.
Well, this is definitely new. England would normally go for goal or for the corner there. Instead, Genge just has tapped it, and they're trying a little move, but that was loose to Curry. Ollie Hassel-Collins has to clean up. That didn't quite go to plan, but it is still in English possession with scrum half Van Poortvliet. Here's Lewis Ludlam of Northampton. Van Poortvliet snipes, but without too much conviction, so Genge will set it up. 22 minutes gone at Twickenham, 5 live and BBC Sounds. England 0, Scotland 7. Kyle Sinclair has a carry. That's a decent bust from the Bristol prop. Van Poortvliet out to Maro Itoje, 7 or 8 metres from the Scottish line. Can England hit back after that Jones try? Out from Smith to Freddie Stewart. Stewart wrapped up by 2 or 3 Scots. 8 metres out England, maybe 10 now. Sinclair had Ludlam inside, but he sets it up, does Sinclair. Decent quick ball for Van Poortvliet. Now Itoje thunders into the Scottish tacklers. Van Poortvliet digs for the ball again. 7 metres out. Dombrandt's got to give it, he does. Tapped on from Farrell. Marcus Smith out to Ellis Genge. Genge for the corner, they needed more gas there. Hassel-Collins was outside. Still with England. Lewis Ludlam trucks it up. Plenty of phases. 10 in all now for England. Sinclair once more. He's been ubiquitous in this move. Has Sinclair.
Yes.
Van Poortvliet looks right, instead goes left to Dombrandt on the charge. 5 metres out England, who trail by 7 at Twickenham. Ben Curry out to flanker mate Lewis Ludlam. Still 6 metres out England. Sinclair once more. Ball out the back to Smith. Smith goes crossfield looking for Malins. All on the bounce. I think Malins has scored. And I think Malins has done brilliantly to kind of take the ball on the full and dot it down in an instant. Great skill from Malins, great vision from Smith, and England have hit right back.
Yeah, that was not an easy finish from Max Malins. Needed to make a decision as the ball was floating in the air from Marcus Smith. Not easy, it wasn't going end over end. And did he want to go and dive for it? Did he want to wait for it to hit the ground? If the ball hit the ground, it could have bounced anywhere. It was like a drop, one of those catches in the slips where the ball just hits the ground before the slip. Ball on the deck, grounded. I mean, we're seeing a replay, that's why I'm hesitating.
John's grimacing.
There's the smallest opportunity of there being a knock-on, but I think possibly the TMO has had a look at it and thought, no, that's fine. It was a risky strategy, that to wait for the bounce, John, do you think?
Yeah, what a try, though. What a try. Continuity, big ball carries. We wondered if with the tap and go, where would it go? And England lost their shape a little bit, but they found it again. And I think that's where Marcus Smith is so dangerous. The ball out the back, they narrowed the Scottish defence, and then just the skill set, flat to the line, looked to pass, realised Malins was open, and a bit of a wobbly, floaty kick over, and a conspicuous finish by Malins, but game on.
Kind of batted it down on the full, didn't it? It was very, very skillful from Max Malins. His first try for his country, and he'll remember this one for some time. Calcutta Cup, packed out Twickenham, new chapter of English rugby. Owen Farrell to level the scores. He's dragged that to the left. That was uncharacteristic from Farrell. England 5, Scotland 7. Let's check in with World Cup winning captain Katie Daly-McLean on the touchline. What have you seen from down there, Katie?
I mean, what a start it's been down here. The crowd are living every moment of this game, but it's definitely one for defences. You know, the energy from England when they haven't got the ball, the hits are coming in. You can hear Jamie George from here, and I'm 4 or 5 rows back. But for me, it's currently a game for defences. A lovely still day, a great game for attack and rugby, though.
Yeah, the Kevin Sinfield influence, very much Sinfield to the fore in this regime. Borthwick is the head coach. The buck stops with him, but it's a collaborative coaching team. As the matchday programme indicates, all 4 England coaches, Cockerell, Nick Evans, Kevin Sinfield and Steve Borthwick, adorn the cover of the programme, giving you a sense of the new regime and the shared responsibilities as Van Portfleet hoists it into the Twickenham sky that's almost pitch black, a hue of purple at the moment in southwest London. 26 minutes gone, England 5, Scotland 7, a try apiece. Hugh Jones for Scotland, who's got the knack in this fixture, and Max Malins for England. But England's penalty count will concern Borthwick. It's been their Achilles heel for some time under Eddie Jones, giving away needless penalties. And referee Paul Williams, I think, got Maro Itoje, as Stuart Hogg almost got onto a loose ball. But no advantage called by referee Paul Williams. Back for a Scotland penalty. I tell you what, Stuart Hogg, John Bartley was banging them over from 50 plus in the warm-up. If you were skipper out there, would you ask Hogg to put his boot through it or tell Russell to play the percentages?
I think if I was captain, I'd be wanting a breather at this point, so I might tell him to go for 3, but I think that the confidence Scotland will take from that first line-out attack in the England 22, they're going to go to the corner, and we've seen them go over the top twice. Are we going to see some variety to that? Are we going to see them go up the guts, through the middle?
Well, you've got 2 quite distinctive ways of playing at the moment, where Scotland are being really innovative, very creative. You can see they're looking for the spaces, where England are going through the phases and grinding Scotland down, going through 10, 15 phases, looking for the walk-in or the cross-field kick. Very distinct styles.
Scotland win the line out on the 22, a nice peel move. Turner, White, wide ball out to Tuipulotu, who fixes the defenders and finds Finn Russell. Russell is sacked by Owen Farrell just before he was going to give a killer pass. Excellent defence from the England captain. It seems as if Farrell's been targeting Russell. He's hit him a few times after the kick. That was a perfect tackle from Farrell, and it stopped Russell unleashing one of his Hail Mary balls, which we've seen in this fixture lead to some sensational tries.
I think, if anything, not sure I could blame Russell for that. It was a lovely run, angled run. It just needed a bit more from Hogg and Stein there just to... Oh, here we go.
Well, away goes Scotland. Duhan van der Merwe. What a break this is from van der Merwe. He's going to score. Oh, what a try. What an unbelievable try out of absolutely nowhere by Duhan van der Merwe. A try-scoring hero in front of an empty Twickenham 2 years ago. He's done it in front of 82,000 now. And that will be played for many years to come.
That's the one man on the pitch you do not want to kick the ball loosely to. His stats in the URC are formidable. Open pass. George Turner actually gets a small bump on Owen Farrell. But then what a finish. Beats Stewart, beats Malins. Dombrandt has no chance at the end. I'm telling you, this guy's tackle break, line break stats in the league year in, year out are superb.
Just so everyone is aware of what has just happened, just imagine you've gone to watch a school match and the ball has been kicked to the big kid on the halfway line who is bigger than everybody else, and he's just run through, sidestepped a bit, fended off and scored under the posts. We see it week in, week out. If you're watching your schools and club rugby, it was like that with 82,000 people in the stadium in Twickenham. That was quite incredible.
For me, that will go down as one of the great individual tries. From nothing, 60 metres out, 55 metres out, pace, strength, what a finish.
Well, Russell to extend Scotland's lead. No, he hits the post. That's a gimme 2 points passed up by Finn Russell. But what a try from van der Merwe. Scotland have scored some incredible tries in this fixture. Remember Sam Johnson 4 years ago, John? That was an incredible effort from 50. The try Sean Maitland scored after Hugh Jones's break. Hugh Jones himself in 2018. And now Duhan van der Merwe to add to the collection. What a score to very dubious England defence. It almost took Gregor Townsend by surprise. He didn't expect van der Merwe to beat 4-5 Englishmen and score. 12-5 Scotland lead.
Well, Katie was talking about defences being so tight, which they were. God, can you imagine what's going through Kevin Sinfield's mind right now? He must be fuming because it was, I mean, it was like swatting. Van der Merwe was swatting flies away.
Well, can England respond? Half an hour gone at Twickenham. So much to talk about already. England 5, Scotland 12, 2 Scottish tries. Hugh Jones and Duhan van der Merwe, Max Malins for England, who have the ball on their own 10-metre line. And it's very much the message to kick in their own half.
Thank you. Right.
Not to overplay in their own territory, England. So Smith kicked down the throat of Russell, who kicks down the throat of Freddie Stewart. He might have a chance to counter-attack Freddie Stewart. Big, powerful man, just 22.
Tackle now, away.
But he sets it up. Leicester teammate Van Poortvliet goes to the right. Ben Curry with a carry almost up to the 10-metre line. Farrell with the clear. There for Van Poortvliet. Genge on the charge. Makes a metre or two, does Ellis Genge. Stopped by Luke Crosby and by Grant Gilchrist. Smith out to clubmate Dombrandt. 10-metre line. Loose ball for Van Poortvliet. Smith now out to Stewart in the line. Ollie Hassel-Collins is getting away down the left touchline. He's almost up to the 22. Van Poortvliet joins the ruck and sends a ball out to Lewis Ludlam with a good carry and a good offload. Dombrandt drops it.
Knock on.
And England just need to get that detail right as Ben White clears, but it was touched. I think it was touched, said referee Williams.
Yep, touch.
So it will be a Scotland line out in between the 10-metre line and the 22, John Barclay.
Some tired bodies out there. We're seeing the same pattern from England, though. That kick battle, that persistence with that tactic, just keep playing the ball in behind. You wonder, Matt Dawson, how long will they persist with that? Do you think there'll be a shift? Do you think they'll try and look to run the ball to try and set up some phase play in the middle of the pitch? Or
well, and it's been a weakness of England for years and years that they just keep implementing their game plan when it's not necessarily needed. And you've quite rightly mentioned there the fact that Scotland are dropping back into the backfield. Then there is opportunity for Stewart, for Malins, for Hassel-Collins. So England have got to recognise it.
Over 15.
England 5, Scotland 12. Scotland throw long at the line out, but then lose it. And England have it through Van Poortvliet out to Ben Curry, a little bit isolated as he runs into opposite number Crosby. Van Poortvliet out to Smith. He's got Dombrandt who drops it again. So a couple of drops from Dombrandt to go with that missed tackle. And I wonder if that's preying on his mind as well. Scrum to Scotland just outside their own 22. Let's go back to Katie Daly-McLean on the touchline. What do you make of England's tactics so far, Katie?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is the kicking game, isn't it, Chris? I think what's fascinating is how early Marcus Smith, a fly half, is dropping into that backfield. As soon as anybody is kicking, Marcus Smith is going straight back into that backfield with Freddie Stewart, with Ollie Hassel-Collins, and just waiting for that moment to kick straight back. He's getting his head up, he is finding space and not necessarily going straight to bodies, but it is about a massive territory battle of who's going to blink first almost.
I mean, we've got some senior international captains amongst us, Chris, here. Don Brandt, 2 mistakes there, 2 drop balls. Frustrates me somewhat that all he has had is a tap on the backside, a high five, rather than someone... When's the time when you just have the quiet word to say, oi, focus on the next job, make it happen, get it right? Do you know where I'm coming from, John?
No, I do. I think it's interesting the way the game's going. The stadium's kind of simmering a bit now. It's quieting down and you can sense a bit of frustration. And I think the players can. We've seen a couple that offload from Don Brandt. They're trying to force things a little. We saw Marcus Smith there. Could have been a more gentle pass to Don Brandt, but there's that sense of it's not quite clicking yet. We're not playing a huge amount of rugby, so when we're in the right areas, we have to maybe push the envelope that bit. So, but you're right, you need your big carries, you need low error count. And at the moment, it's another penalty to Scotland at the scrum. Scotland haven't had a huge amount of ball, but I'd argue that they've been more accurate with the ball they've had, and they've been a bit more disciplined than England. And that's probably the difference right now.
Yeah, 100%. You're happy if you're a Scotland fan. 35 minutes gone, England 5, Scotland 12, and England penalised at the scrum. England's scrum was a state in the autumn. Richard Cockrell taking over with Steve Borthwick's expertise. They're trying to change the picture at the scrum, but that time a penalty to Scotland. And just those Premier League scores: Everton 1, Arsenal 0 from the early kick-off, Aston Villa 2, Leicester 4, Brentford 3, Southampton 0, Brighton 1, Bournemouth 0. As we're hearing from Ian Dennis and Chris Waddle, Manchester United holding on 2-1 against Crystal Palace. Liverpool hammered away at Wolves 3-0.
What was the first score you read there?
Everton 1, Arsenal 0.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just checking.
The Sean Dyche impact. And I'll give you some stories from the EFL as well after this line-out from Scotland. Let's see how they do in this attacking position. George Turner throws to captain Jamie Ritchie. Dudley Peenell, the old warhorse, 51st cap. He's almost bundled into touch. He throws it in field to Itoje, who does very well to tidy up for England. So England has snuffed out that Scotland attack. Don Brandt wants it a first receive. He probably just wants an easy carry just to get himself back into the game after those mistakes. England 5, Scotland 12, 4 minutes to go in this first half, which has absolutely flown by here on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Pitch black sky at Twickenham now as Van Poortvliet finds try scorer Van der Merwe, who scored one of the great Calcutta Cup tries a few moments ago. Carried on by Matt Fagerson, who started the last 2 Calcutta Cup triumphs for Scotland. Russell kicks, it's been touched, and the ball's going to bounce absolutely anywhere. Carl Steyn almost got it, but Freddie Stewart manages to get it away to Joe Marchant, who's streaking down the left touchline as England go into Scottish territory. Van Poortvliet out to Ollie Chesham, his first Six Nations start, the Leicester lock. Van Poortvliet, Owen Farrell, Genge in centre field, good Scottish defence, slap bang in the middle of the park. Halfway line now for Farrell, deep to Marcus Smith. Smith shovels it on to Max Malins, who scored England's 5 points. Jamie Ritchie's in there to steal, but it's there for Van Poortvliet as England look to end the half on a high. Farrell, that's a good carry. Don Brandt, better from the Harlequin. And quickish ball for Van Poortvliet. He finds Farrell, who goes deep to Smith. Smith with a goose step, but nothing doing as Hassel-Collins carried. Van Poortvliet again, slow and methodical from England, 7 phases, but they are making ground. Van Poortvliet looks for a slide. Farrell, lovely ball inside to Marchant. Great tackle coming in by Scotland there. But England are inside the 22. Chesham was stationary. England might have numbers here. Good rugby, England. Lewis Ludlam, can he draw to Malins? Yes, he can. That is a fantastic England try. Measured, methodical build-up, then the incision from Don Brandt, and then England were away. The hands did the rest. England 10, Scotland 12. What a game!
Yeah, and the same pattern from England. You know, you've got to be patient if you're going to play that style, phase after phase. Get up, you've got to be fit as well, by the way. Getting through the rucks and just look for the edge. And on that occasion, there was only a sniff, really, of an overlap, but 1 decent or 2 decent quick hands. Farrell's been instrumental a couple of times, just coming into the line, giving the tip-offs. And on this occasion, Lewis Ludlam. There's still a lot to do there, John, for a man that you're used to being in that position. Still a lot to do, and did it well.
Did it well. I thought he was going to go himself. The space opened up for him, but did the right decision, put the ball through the hands. And for all that England haven't attacked a huge amount in their own half, I think they've been clinical down there, and almost that carbon copy of going through the phases, multi-options, picking the right options forwards, quite importantly making the last passes. So good reply by England.
And a good game as we edge towards half-time. England 10, Scotland 12, all tries. That one Finn Russell conversion. Apart from that, 2 tries Scotland, Jones and Van der Merwe, and a double for Malins. And if Farrell can knock over this from the 22, 15 metres in, from the right touchline, this will take it to 12 points all, going into the final minute of this first half. Plenty to talk about. The first 40 of the Steve Borthwick, Kevin Sinfield and Nick Evans regime, Richard Cockrell as well from the Eddie Jones era. Here is Owen Farrell, and this time he's missed it to the right, so he missed one to the left weirdly, and he's missed one now to the right. England should be 14 points really, as should Scotland, so both kickers passing up conversion opportunities. England 10, Scotland 12. We're almost at half-time. And do you think on the balance a fair scoreline, Matt Dawson?
Well, you always wonder at this level, 2-4 points can be so crucial. And with a man of Owen Farrell's kicking percentage, he does not want to be ruining those opportunities.
Well, Scotland have field position right at the end of this first half. England losing it from the kick-off. Crosby, 22 for Scotland. The clock is in the red, and England do win the penalty, and that'll be half-time. Let's go down to Katie Daly-McLean on the touchline. Your view of that Max Malins try, Katie?
Oh, I mean, what a lovely try. I mean, it was everything you wanted to be involved. We've seen England try and tick and just haven't really got across the line in that place it did. But what was really, really interesting, going back to your point about the goal kicking, is that as soon as the kickers are getting ready, both teams are sending a flyer out. In this case, it was Scotland's scrum halfers started on the line. As soon as Owen Farrell has got into his process to go and approach the ball, he has gone as fast as he can. And you don't necessarily see that international game, boys wasting energy, but it's had maximum impact on both of the fly halves kicking today.
And really interesting, the referees are on red alert with the shot clock as well to make sure kickers aren't taking too long. Owen Farrell is often on the edge of the allotted time, so fascinating tactic from Scotland, and it's paid off. England missing both their conversions, but from that penalty they go to the front of the line out. Ludlam almost got it away. It wasn't the end of the half because it was a penalty, so England could play the line out. And do they have one last flourish in this first 40?
Clean out.
England 10, Scotland 12. Van Poortvliet to the left to Chesham, who's hugging the touchline. Great carry, Ollie Chesham. England into the 22. Quick ball, Van Poortvliet. Sinclair out the back to Smith. Smith throws a dummy. Tackled eventually by a couple of Scots, but it's there for Sinclair, who finds his prop mate Ellis Genge. Good offload. Ben Curry's now got it. Scooban with the tackling, but England are already 10 metres out. Advantage being played to England. Scotland off their feet. Penalty to England, and England surely will kick this to go into half-time with the lead. Scotland were pressing a moment or two ago on England's 22. Like a flash, England are 10 metres out with the penalty.
And interesting enough, time was up when they got the penalty, and there was a small debate, we'll call it, on the 22. I assume, do we just tap this, get this off the pitch? But I admire that from England. Of course, you want to see them put it in the corner, give themselves another opportunity to get points on the board, and as it transpires, VP now gives away a penalty at the breakdown, and from 12-10 down, it looks like England will almost certainly go in ahead at the break.
Yeah, I like that endeavour from England. It makes... I just don't think this crowd have seen that. They haven't seen that, John, when they're playing in these games, get towards half-time, they kick that out all day and get off the pitch, where there's just seems to be a mentality to want to play their style. They want to grind their way through the opposition because they know every phase counts when it comes to 80-85 minutes.
About to kick off at St James's Park. That's starting on Sports Extra imminently. Newcastle West Ham as Farrell kicks the 3. And England have a slender half-time lead. So much to discuss from that first 40. 2 tries for Scotland. Hugh Jones with their first. Van der Merwe with a sensational second, but Max Malin's double, Owen Farrell's penalty means England have edged the lead at half-time. England 13, Scotland 12, Matt Dawson.
Yeah, tremendous start to the Six Nations for England. You know, and even when they went 7 points down, you know, for them to bounce back in the way that they did and still maintain the style of play that they wanted to, every credit to them.
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. They've done it the hard way. They've came back from 7-0 down. I think both teams will be reasonably satisfied going into the changing room. There's a lot of rugby left in this game, and I think that the subs, as always, will play a huge role, given just how much ball and play we saw in that first 40 minutes.
Quick word from you, Katie, on the touchline.
Yeah, I think both sides coming in, there's some boys that are breathing very, very heavily there. So I think from a playing perspective, they will be well ready for half-time. But very, very stoic faces from both sides on the way in there.
So much to play for in the second 40. It's in the balance mark. England 13, Scotland 12.
Back at Twickenham for the second half. The tea time football starts on Sports Extra. It'll then come here to 5 Live at the conclusion of the game at Twickenham. Newcastle, Manchester United. Lee Blakeman.
Newcastle are absolutely buzzing, Mark. The supporters made such a racket when the two teams emerged from the tunnel down beneath me a few moments ago. The two teams in huddles either side of the centre circle at the moment. Great vibes after making it to Wembley on Tuesday. One league defeat for Newcastle all season, but they're without Bruno Guimaraes tonight. He's suspended, so Alan Saint-Maximin starts a Premier League game for the first time since August. New signing Anthony Gordon is on the bench. West Ham, winners here last season. They've won 3 of the last 4 in all competitions. 5 changes from Derby in the FA Cup on Monday. 1 change from their last league game, which was the win over Everton. Kehrer is in for the injured Zuma. Danny Ings only fit enough to make the bench. Newcastle about to get us started at St James's Park.
Sports Extra if you want to listen to that, and via BBC Sounds, of course. In the Premier League today, Everton 1, Arsenal 0, Villa 2, Leicester 4, Brentford 3, Southampton 0, Brighton 1, Bournemouth 0, Manchester United 2, Crystal Palace 1, Casemiro sent off for Eric Ten Hag's side, Wolves 3, Liverpool 0. Reaction to those games to come. Give you the league tables as well from the EFL and in Scotland. But first, at 5:30, Jill Mackenzie with the news.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
The family of Nicola Booley, who went missing in Lancashire 8 days ago, have urged people to keep an open mind about what's happened to her. The 45-year-old was last seen walking her dog, and police believe she may have fallen into a river. Ukraine says it's recovered the bodies of 2 British volunteers who were killed last month close to the front line in the east. The remains of Chris Parry and Andrew Bagshaw were returned by Russia as part of a prisoner swap. More than 100 migrants are believed to have reached the UK in small boats today. They're the first arrivals since the Home Office took back operational command in the Channel earlier this week. And 2 days before more strikes in the health service, hospital trusts are calling on the government to step in to end the long-running dispute over pay. Ministers say unions should consider the impact of the action on backlogs.
This is 5 Live Sport.
Straight to St James's Park, where we think there's been a goal, maybe. Lee Blakeman.
Yeah, they're just checking to see if Almiron kept the ball in. He pulled it back. Willett with the shot across goal into the side netting. It's just appeared on the screen. Checking goal. Possible ball out of play. It was Trippier down the right. Infield to Almiron. Almiron to the byline. Pulled it back. Willett, excellent shot across goal into the far side of the net. We're just waiting to see what's happened. No goal is the verdict here from VAR. The ball hit the net inside 40 seconds, but the goal has been disallowed. So still Newcastle 0, West Ham United 0.
Let's go back to the lunchtime game. Everton 1, Arsenal 0. Here's Mikel Arteta with Guy Mowbray.
Mikel, tell us your verdict, your assessment of the performance today.
Well, a huge disappointment, obviously. We knew that was going to be a real test for us with the circumstances of the new manager, the style of play, the way the crowd reacted. And we had a lot of control in periods in the game, but we struggled to control the basic things that you have to do really well against a team that is so direct, so dominant on set pieces and defends the box really, really well. So we needed to do more today to deserve to win the game.
What's disappointed you the most? Is it, as you say, the attention to detail at the back, or is it perhaps not creating enough today?
Well, obviously, conceding the goal the way we did it after training, it's a lot. It is disappointing, but as well is their strength, and obviously the opponent plays as well. But it's more down to us, especially how we played in many areas, especially in the final third, that we should have created with the open situation that we had much more than what we've done today.
You know these players well. How do they respond to setbacks? You haven't had many in recent times.
I don't know, but the way I respond is to tell them that I love them more than before the game and before last week and last month, because they deserve it, because it's easy to be next to him when they are winning and smiling and performing. Now we have to be next to them when they have a defeat, and they tried really hard to get a different outcome, and it wasn't possible.
That's Mikel Arteta. Right, let's try this again. Lee Blakeman.
This one does stand. Newcastle 1, West Ham 0. It was straight from the restart. Newcastle won it back in the midfield. Through ball, Callum Wilson, one-on-one, slotted it past Fabianski into the bottom corner, and that's his 10th goal in 12 against West Ham. Callum Wilson, coolly taken, and it was inside 2 minutes. Definitely stands. Newcastle 1, West Ham 0.
Right, back to Everton after their win over Arsenal. Here's Sean Dyche.
Clean sheet, 1-0. I like them 1-0s. Every manager does. They pretend they don't. They do. Trust me. No, look, a lot of work done this week. Been very pleased with the players. Their honesty has been invaluable to us as a staff to get the start point, if you like, and the base to work from. I must mention a few of them felt they'd let down the last manager and staff, so I admired that honesty. So we built on the back of that and said, well, we can correct that, but we've got to do it together. And I was pleased with that side of the game today. You know, quality-wise, we can build that, but there had to be a base to work from, that to be a feel of a group and a commitment to the cause, and I thought there was plenty of that today.
Some big wins for teams towards the bottom. Everton were one, Wolves were another. John Bennett.
Yes, a 3-0 victory for Wolverhampton Wanderers against Liverpool. Julian Lopetegui here in the tunnel just behind me, telling the press how pleased he was not only with his players but also the atmosphere at Molineux, which was superb today. Liverpool, though, was so poor defensively. Their awful 2023 continues, and Jurgen Klopp blamed a dreadful first 12 minutes. Joel Matip scored an own goal, then Craig Dawson fired in on his debut. Brilliant finish. So 2-0 down after 12 minutes, and Liverpool didn't really respond well enough until the opening stages of the second half, but they couldn't break through. Excellent defending from Wolverhampton Wanderers, and Ruben Neves made it 3 after a brilliant counter-attacking move led by Adama Traore. So it's 3 Premier League away defeats in a row now for Liverpool, and for Wolves, they're out of the bottom 3, and it's 2 home Premier League wins in a row for them, and Molineux was bouncing today.
They are. I'll give you the table shortly. Here's Jurgen Klopp with Jonathan Pearce.
You've had great days and you've had horrible moments, but have you had a horrible opening 15 minutes like that before?
Probably not. Conceding early goals is not completely unfamiliar to us, we know, but the way we conceded them today, that was absolutely, it's not acceptable, to be 100% honest. Happened anyway, and obviously when you see the whole game without the goals, and you think, okay, Liverpool played in moments an outstanding away game without scoring, in a lot of moments a good away game without scoring, but the first 2 goals we conceded, the third one I don't count, because that's now was the first time they passed the halfway line, I think, in the second half, and they scored there. That's fine, but the other 2 goals, going into a game with all the things I said before the games, with all the things we said during the week, with all the things we did during the week, and then this is the start, is really horrible.
Is that concentration?
Look, so just saw one player in our team who's full of confidence, Stefan. So he's on the ball, blah, 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 and then the rest trying to get it back, and then you do yourself not a favor in these moments. We gave easy balls away, but the 2 goals we were passive.
It needs to be changed very, very quickly, doesn't it? You know, Everton, Newcastle, Real Madrid.
Oh yeah. We would have changed it yesterday already. That's true, 100%. I have no words really for it. Sorry.
Match of the day, 10:30 tonight on BBC One. Arsenal have 50 from 20. Manchester City 45 from 20. Manchester United 42 from 21. Newcastle 39 from 20. Tottenham 36 from 21. Brighton, after they won today, 34 from 20. Brentford won as well, 33 from 21. Fulham 32 from 22. Chelsea 30 from 21. Liverpool now 10th, 29 from 20. Villa beaten at home by Leicester, 28 from 21. Palace 24 from 21. Leicester 21 from 21. Nottingham Forest have 21 from 20. Wolves now 20 from 21. Leeds have 18 from 19. Everton 18 from 21. Bournemouth 17 from 21. West Ham 15 from 21. And Southampton 15 from 21 after their 3-0 defeat at Brentford. Here's Nathan Jones with John Southall.
Really disappointed, really. For the biggest thing for me is, as I've said in previous interviews, I look at the game today and I don't see me in that team. I don't see me in it in terms of if you watch my teams play, they're aggressive, they're front-footed, they go after teams, they're a bit of nastiness about them. We defend the box well, we put balls in, we try to score goals. I didn't see much of that today, but that's my fault. That's my fault because I've compromised. I've tried to give them solutions because they're Premier League players and there's some internationals in there that like to play, and you got to do this. That's not my team. That's not my team out there, and that's the frustrating thing, and it's entirely my fault.
Why have you compromised? Because surely you've got to come here with your ideas and you've got to stick to your ideas, haven't you?
But look, we've had to compromise first of all for personnel, first and foremost, but then we've also given them solutions and they've asked for certain things, and we've done that and we've given them that, but it's been to my detriment, if I'm honest. So look, we go back to basics. We go back to what I know, to what I want to be, and then we go from there.
In the Championship, Norwich 0, Burnley 3, Rotherham 0, Sheffield United 0, Huddersfield and QPR ended 1-1, Hull beat Cardiff 1-0, Luton did the same to Stoke, Middlesbrough 3, Blackpool 0, Millwall 1, Sunderland 1, Preston 1, Bristol City 2, Reading and Watford drew 2-2, and Birmingham came from behind to beat Swansea 4-3. Let's go to Old Trafford. Casemiro sent off as Manchester United beat Crystal Palace 2-1. Eric Ten Hag is live with Gary Flintoff.
Eric, got rather feisty towards the end, but how much character did your side show to win that game?
I see this is a good team and they stick together and they stand for each other, and you see that in the outcome of this game, and you see that in the total process, and of course in the result.
In terms of the sending off, which clearly did make a difference, what did you make of that sending off, but also on a wider theme, the implementation of VAR in a decision like that?
Clear. Casemiro is crossing the line, and we have all seen that. No one can deny that. But I think when you see that incident, there are going many more players crossing the line, also players from Crystal Palace, and they started and taking the risk of a bad injury. So I'm unhappy with the refereeing. It was so inconsistent, and not only in this game, in the game in Palace, there was definitely a big red card on Mateta, who's the elbow on Martinez. They don't interfere. Last week, Eriksen, bad injury, out for 3 months, and no interfering. And today they interfere. So that is something is difficult to accept. But
I suppose another plus point today, Marcus Rashford, another goal, but in terms of the quality of the goal and the finish, and obviously you'd moved him into that central position, what does that make you feel like as a coach at that point when something works in that way?
It's great, but it's more about the team, and we're doing together with my coaching staff, and so we're bringing variations. We do it already in the lineup, in the start 11, to bring in variations, to be dynamic. But of course, with that sub, you want to create a difference in a game where opponents bringing them in trouble. And I think we did it because they are focused on a way of defending. And then you get with Garnacho and with Rashford in the center, you get a total different dynamic. And I think we took benefit from it. And it was a great team goal for me because the movement, the passes between the lines, the combinations, and then finally a great cross from Luke Shaw and the finishing was great to see.
Eric Ten Hag live with Gary Flintoff on 5 Live. Sheffield Wednesday beat Plymouth in the battle of the top two in League One. So they both have 61 points. Sheffield Wednesday have played a game fewer, though. Ipswich drew at Cambridge, they're in third. Derby beat Morecambe, they're in fourth. Bolton managed to get a late win over Cheltenham, and they're in fifth. Barnsley complete the playoff picture. They are in sixth after a 1-1 draw at Portsmouth. The bottom four in League One: Forest Green Rovers, Accrington Stanley, Cambridge and Morecambe. As far as League Two is concerned, the leaders Leyton Orient got a win. They beat AFC Wimbledon 1-0. So they are top. They have a 4-point lead over Stevenage, who could only manage a draw at Sutton. Let's head back to Twickenham. The teams are back out. Scotland about to get back underway. Chris Jones and the team.
13-12. England lead at half-time after a pulsating first 40. And Finn Russell does kick us off from left to right, where it's well taken by Ollie Chesham, who is, dare I say it, having a kind of coming-of-age game. The young Leicester lock being very prominent in that first 40. But the game is on a knife edge. As Jack Van Poortvliet, remember Ben Youngs is one of the 8 England replacements, all 121 caps of Youngs. As Van Poortvliet kicks, and Stuart Hogg tries to get away down the right touchline, puts the little grabber through, went out on the full. So that will be an England line-out around about the halfway line. We've got World Cup winners, we've got Calcutta Cup captains in our team here on 5 Live BBC Sounds. Matt Dawson, as Jamie George prepares to throw, taken in by that man Chesham.
Yeah, I was going to pick out Chesham. I mean, if you're going to rate the second rows at the moment, usually we're talking about Maro Itoje, aren't we? That's how well Chesham's playing. He's been the man.
Ellis Genge got it out the back to Marcus Smith on the sponsors logo, halfway line. Carl Sinclair carried a fair bit of ball, has Sinclair, but looks like England, through their captain Owen Farrell, will go to the skies. Half clearance, half up and under from Farrell, well taken by Hogg, but Malins is all over him, and that will be a hallmark of this Borthwick regime. Kick, chase and work rate to the fore. A minute and a half into this second half, we had 4 thrilling tries in the first 40, 2 apiece.
Last fight.
Remember, over on 5 Live, Sports Extra, Newcastle against West Ham, our 5:30 will be there after the conclusion of the game here at Twickenham. And 6:06 with Robbie and Chris is coming up at 7:30. Ollie Hassel-Collins in a bit of space, and he's still going, the London Irish flyer. He just kept running across and then straightened up. Van Poortvliet finds Genge, as England may sense a chance to get on the board early in this second half. Farrell swings it out to Dom Brandt. He sets it up around the 22. Now here's Farrell again. Kicked, but it's ricocheted, and Malins is on a hat-trick. Got it away with he's got his left boot to it, and it's eventually cleaned up by Scotland. But John Barclay, they're only 5 metres from their own line.
Yeah, I think a bit of confusion there. I think they thought they had penalty advantage. Owen Farrell put the ball on boot. And very much Scotland will be looking to get this ball off and regroup, because England are looking very dangerous. Ball in hand, especially in the England 22.
Oh, you look at the defensive statistics from half-time, gents. Scotland made more than double the amount of tackles than England had to. That has to take a toll come the last 10-15 minutes of this game.
I think it absolutely will do, and I think for as much as you can applaud the defence, at some point, especially with the territory England are seeming to gain, that will take its toll, like you say, Matt.
England have a great attacking platform here as Jamie George doesn't quite find Ludlam. Chesham cleans up, he's very well tackled by George Turner. That's excellent work from the Glasgow hooker. England sealed off because Turner was all over Chesham, and it will be a penalty to Scotland. And after that, very promising attacking platform for England with a line out on the 22. Finn Russell and Scotland can now go deep into English territory.
And I think Scotland need to have some phase play here, because we've not seen them with, they've been exciting, they've showed innovation, but they've potentially been a bit wasteful with the ball they've had. And I think at this point of the game, especially with the tackle stats that you mentioned, Matt, they're going to have to hold on to this ball.
Very much an away-from-home performance, isn't it, from Scotland? But they've got a platform here as Turner prepares to throw into the line out on the 22.
Yeah, I think there might be a little bit. Oh no, they're going to play on, even though there's an injury to an England player.
Turner is tackled by Itoje, but he got it away to White, who has Curry all over him. Scotland trying to be enterprising from the line out. Now they do have that phase play that John Barclay was asking for. Richie Gray almost up to the 22. Matt Fagerson, well, Marcus Smith was there. Fagerson was isolated. England would have loved the jackler over that ball, but it's there for Scotland and Schoeman. 25 metres out, slap bang in centre field. Good ball, Finn Russell, but dropped by Ritchie. Jamie Ritchie, the captain, was unopposed there, and it will be a scrum to England. Let's go down to Katie Daly-McLean, 2014 World Cup winning captain with the Red Roses. Katie, your thoughts after 4 and a bit minutes of this second half?
Yeah, it started with a lot of energy. I think what's really interesting, Chris, is when England are getting into Scotland's 22 is what they're looking for. They're leaving a player not necessarily a winger, but one player in the 5-metre channel. Last example was Joe Marchant, and England are looking for that kick space in behind the Scottish winger. Scotland's fullback is quite central, so there's a lot of space in those corners that looks like England are going to go and try and exploit.
Yeah, absolutely. Feels like England are just trying to turn it on when they get that territory in the Scottish 22. It's led to 2 tries through Max Maitland. Scotland, with that kind of rope-a-dope tactic, haven't had much ball, but they've taken their chances when they've come along. And Ollie Hassel-Collins is limping. He's got some treatment, but a man on debut who's just been getting more and more into the game. He doesn't want to go off.
Oh, he's going to be reluctant to come off. He's just testing his right leg, doing a bit of continuous hopping on his right leg. Physio's coming on, testing the medial and the ligaments around and inside his knee. He feels that he's okay to carry on. I was just looking at one of the previous replays. I tell you what, Ellis Genge's got to be so careful. He's going in headless in some of these tackles and some of these rucks. If a certain Scottish player had caught the ball there, he was going to get done for a no-arms tackle. In the first half, he's clearing out and clearing out close to the head. It's such a fine line, and we need him to go in stronger. Of course we do, but also England need 15 men on the field, as do Scotland.
England needs some scrum ball. They're going to get a penalty. That's a big statement from the English pack. It was Scotland who won a first-half scrum penalty, but this time England drive Scotland backwards. And look at that body language from England. They know their scrum was an area of weakness in 2022.
Not pushing straight.
But they've got a scrum penalty there. And England, through Marcus Smith, will look to go deep into Scottish territory, belted by Smith down the touchline. Assistant referee Ben O'Keefe, a top official in his own right, signals the ball out of play. 10-metre line, England line out in Scottish territory. England 13, Scotland 12 in the Calcutta Cup.
Yeah, lovely position for England, this. Stock line out there, it is. Catch in the middle, bring it down. Control the drive.
Got the advantage,
Get the penalty, textbook.
Or was the referee in sync with you there, Matt? What you were asking for, he obliged, and now Smith in a bit of space, throws a dummy, Marcus Smith. Almost got past Russell. Van Porthley with penalty advantage, England. That looked a bit shapeless. Farrell is static. They won't mind too much because there was no advantage. England getting some change from that rolling maul.
After the line out.
And John Barclay, Scotland contested because they have been nicking ball, but once they contested and England got it, there's a bit of a hole to drive through.
Yeah, Richie Gray, they competed hard in the air, one of Richie Gray's strengths, but as so often happens, he was lifted and thrown onto the England side, and at that point you've got to get out of there, but too tempting for him, and he had a little nibble and got stuck in there.
Yep.
So what's Smith doing here? He's going to go down the touchline. He's going to look for the corner, is Smith. It was a long way out to go for goal, but in a game so tight as this...
from that first half, the mentality of the England side, that's great progress. Because they're confident about their line-out, they're confident about their drive, and more importantly, they're confident of going through the faces to then strike.
Well, Alex Dombrandt with a run-up. Great carry, Alex Dombrandt. England 6 metres out. Chesson one line-out ball. Dombrandt stormed onto it. Genge's almost up to the line. England looking for their third try. Ben Curry on the carry. Shadow of the Scottish post underneath the crossbar. Numbers to the left. Genge up to the line. Ellis Genge scores. And all around us, England fans are on their feet.
Yeah, it's a power game, and I know England are not necessarily that much bigger than Scotland, but they have chosen to play this power game. You know, it is a little bit more sort of archetypal Steve Borthwick and how he likes to play rugby. We've seen it at Leicester, we've seen it at England. when he was coach there as well. But then they're throwing in just the little touches, John. And we haven't seen this from England for a while, that when it's on, and they'll go hard and they'll go strong. But then they're choosing on this occasion, all of a sudden, Van Poelvoort is switching quickly back left. And Genji's falling over the line. It looks a little bit more varied.
It's speed of ball, though, and I think there's a lot of power in there, but strategically and tactically, the line out the first phase to get Dombrandt attacking that seam just off the back of the line out. You get so far in behind the Scottish line, then trying to regroup. And at that point, we've seen that power game from England close out, and Ellis Genge, not many better than him from that range.
It's power, but it's dynamism as well, isn't it? Because that was a dynamic carry from Alex Dombrandt on the angle, which got behind Scotland. Genge couldn't miss from a couple of metres, nor could Farrell. And just as we talk about Dombrandt's impact, he drops it. He's had a strange old game, Alex Dombrandt. He's made some incredible incisions, but also dropped 3 dollies. Scrum to Scotland. Let's quickly go to St James's Park. The latest from Lee Blakeman.
Good game this. Newcastle 1, West Ham 0. West Ham playing their way back into it, though. Mikel Antonio, who's been busy, he's just had a shot blocked from the edge of the area. And Paquetá, fierce shot, hit Botman fully in the face. Needed some quite lengthy treatment, but he's okay to continue. Newcastle 1, West Ham 0, midway through the first half.
Nice one, Lee. Remember, that game's over on 5 Live Sports Extra, and also we'll have the remaining minutes after the conclusion of the Calcutta Cup. 30 minutes to run here at Twickenham. Then we'll be at the football, Newcastle West Ham. 6:06, have your say with Robbie and Chris. 7:30, loads going on in the Premier League and up and down the Football League and in Scotland. England lead by 20 points to 12, but Scotland have a scrum in a dangerous position after that Dombrandt drop. And John Barclay, are we getting to the territory where next score is key? Scotland score, they're right on England's tail. If England extend this 8-point lead further, it might be tough to come back.
Yeah, 100%. Chris, I think at this point, I know we're only 10 minutes into the second half, but there is a feeling of momentum is certainly in England's favour at this stage. And on the flip side of that, a Scottish draw here, back to 2019, back to a one-score game. But I said this last time Scotland were down, they've got to get this ball and play some continuity rugby with it, put some pressure on this English defence.
50 minutes gone at an enraptured Twickenham. England 20, Scotland 12. We'll be with Katie Daly-McLean on the touchline shortly, but let's see what Scotland can craft from this attack. Tuipulotu, the focal point, the decoy though to Russell. What a ball to Hogg. Malins does well to track Hogg, because that was a lovely pass from Russell, with Tuipulotu showing deft hands. Schoeman chopped down by Itoje. But there for Scotland, who have phased players. Ben White snipes, and Ben White is going to score. He steps inside. He scored at Murrayfield last year. And the scrum half has done it again, and Scotland are right back into this.
A try from almost nothing there, Jonesy. I think good first phase. We thought Stuart Hogg might get on the outside of a great Finn Russell pass. The ball bobbles up off a tackle. It's a good carry, great hit by Maro Itoje in the midfield. Dombrandt goes in, the ball just juggles up. The sea's open. Matt Dawson, I think you would have finished that.
Oh, I would have fancied my chances for sure there. It still needed a finish though. Accelerating into the corner from Ben White, hit the brake, step off the left foot. Freddie Stewart can't change his body angle to try and tackle him, but it was one of those occasions where England had the defence, they had the pressure, they were all over Scotland. The ball squirts out and you think, yeah, here we go, come on, and it bobbled straight into Ben White's hands, who on the retreat did a lovely little pirouette to sort of break through a disjointed England defence. It's one of those really weird scenarios, but as I say, it still needed finishing.
And now question marks potentially, people looking in, why would Ali Price, a British and Irish line, not be in the team? I think Ben White showing today exactly why. His form's been superb for London Irish. His decision making and his execution today has been great, and a good try to cap it off.
Oh, beautifully done, and as you say, John Barclay, Gregor Townsend's big selection call vindicated. Russell kicks the goal, England 20, Scotland 19, as Matt Fagerson sets it up. And Katie Daly-McLean, World Cup winner, on the touchline. You've seen some contrasting emotions among the two benches in the last couple of minutes, I imagine.
And that's exactly how it feels, Chris. Completely contrasting. The minute England are up, the bench is on their feet, everybody's involved, and then all of a sudden momentum swings and it's Scotland's turn to do the same. So yeah, it's a bit flatter, a bit more level here now, but yeah, the emotion is right up there.
Yeah, what a game. England 20, Scotland 19. England were 20-12 up. But asked the question, John Barclay, does Scotland have to score next? Ben White said, yeah, I might as well. 1 point in it.
1 point in it, and Scotland, interestingly, first half we saw them kicking the ball long. This half, the ball is going out and they've contested the line and won it back.
They have won it back. The powerhouse Van der Merwe finds Russell. They're kind of attacking from their own 22. Tui Pilotu to Hugh Jones. We've seen Scotland do this before in Calcutta Cups. Jones kicks. Stewart under the high ball. He belts it back. 53 minutes gone. 5 Live Sport and BBC Sounds as Russell kicks under pressure from Stewart. Actually, Stewart's in the backfield. It was Malin's rushing up. Now here is Freddie Stewart. He kicks. Bit of a tactical game of chess here, the kick battle. Who's going to prevail? Kyle Steyn, the right winger, under a bit of pressure from Smith. Solid enough clearance from Steyn. Will Hassel-Collins go quickly? No. And after the back and forth with the kicking, England line out just inside, more towards the 10-metre line in the Scotland half.
Yeah, we're getting into sort of substitutes bench territory now, and there's some big decisions to be made by Gregor Townsend and Steve Borthwick. Who do they bring on at what time? Because this tempo is fast and furious, and these players have got to slot in quick.
Farrell at first receiver after a nice line-out drill involving Chesham and Ludlam. Jamie George from Van Poorvliet's pass, 10-metre line, Scottish territory. 55 on the clock, 1 point in it. Numbers for England, maybe. Hassel-Collins has gone for work all afternoon. That was what Borthwick wanted. An industrious Hassel-Collins, like he is for London Irish. He wants these players to be themselves, to take their club form into the big stage. Ludlam drives on, still 10-metre line, as Smith finds Farrell, who carries. And that's where the lack of a real big ball-carrying focal point is maybe felt, but Farrell did well to get it to ground. Van Poorvliet's kick will go dead. It might go all the way dead. It does. So scrum back, and you have to say that's a feather in the cap of the Scotland defence.
Yeah, I think that's a victory for Scotland there, Jonesy. I think there is tired players out there. I think we're seeing fatigue kick in. We're seeing a lack of spark at times. Who's going to come on off that bench to re-inject that bit of energy, that bit of spark? We saw Farrell carrying there, taking the ball flat. There is some tired bodies out there. You're trying to think of players who might come on and start to pick up. It's that game of chess now as a coach, isn't it?
Katie Daly-McLean, Ben Earl looks stripped and ready for action in the back row.
Yes, he has been absolutely battering a pad on this touchline to the point that I could feel it from my seat. So yeah, he is ready to go, and I think you don't want to be the first person he's going to tackle today, that's for sure.
Yeah, and he's been in sensational form for Saracens. Premiership Player of the Season last season. Interestingly though, he's on for Dombrandt. So does that mean that Earl goes to number 8? I think it does. So it's a very mobile back row, but it's not the tallest, not the biggest. And Dombrandt, how do you analyse Dombrandt's performance? He's done some brilliant things that have led to tries, but also made some unforced errors. Cleans up those errors, he would have had a blinder.
I think he would have, but I think Test match rugby is as much about the mistakes you don't make rather than the good things you do. And he's carried well. He had a huge impact on that last try for England, so some really good stuff in there, but you'd be disappointed with the basic error in his game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, one of the greatest players to ever have played the game in an English shirt was Richard Hill, and a lot of those games, a lot of people would have thought he'd done nothing, and that's what John's talking about. You know, sometimes it's going about your job, going about your business, maybe the odd bit of brilliance, but you just do your job.
Error-free.
Error-free. There you go.
Finn Russell with the cross kick. This is going to go out of play. It is. And this is why this game is such a fascinating tussle. We saw England with phases, didn't get anywhere, had to kick, one in the eye for Scotland. It's gone the other way now. Russell out on the full, England line out.
Yeah, John Barclay was talking about some fatigued bodies over here, but don't forget the mind. The mind is going to start doing some crazy stuff out there. You're making some bad calls, bad decisions, and you think your body can operate it. You think your body can still do it.
England line out ball. Farrell juggles with it, takes it well. Here's Joe Marchant. A bit more in the traffic than Marchant may like. Loves the wide channels, as does this man, Marcus Smith, who's running into traffic and doing well despite his diminutive stature. Good carry this time from Ellis Genge. Next score crucial. We've said that before this afternoon. Farrell inside to Malins, who almost breaks through. Ritchie with the despairing tackle. Van Poortvliet sniping. He's trying to do what White did, and he's almost in. Here's Ollie Chesham, steaming to within 5. Van Poortvliet to the right. Lewis Ludlam with a head of steam. The crowd urging on the Northampton skipper. 1 point in it at Twickenham. Almost an hour gone. Farrell out to Smith. Smith in space. Here's the hitch kick. Marcus Smith up to the line. Good tackle. Tui Pelotu overpowered Smith. Bundled out of touch. Scotland survive. Goal at Newcastle for Lee Blakeman.
West Ham level, Newcastle 1, West Ham 1. Declan Rice with the corner. It flashed it across the 6 yards area. Nobody got a touch until the ball fell for Paquetá at the back post, who drilled it in. And you have to say, it has been coming. Newcastle 1, West Ham 1.
Commentary continues on Sports Extra. Nice one, Lee. Line out Scotland, 5 metres out. Oh, how close for England there, John Barclay.
It's edge of the seat stuff here. It's actually incredible that the energy levels are being maintained. I thought Marcus Smith missed an opportunity there. He had VP Nel outside him. He chose to take on Sione Tuipulotu, who had the wheels. I don't think VP Nel, at 37 years of age, had the wheels after 60 minutes in the front row to go after him. But it's interesting. Change at scrum half. Ben Young's coming on. I thought Van Poortvliet's actually had a really good game. Kept the tempo of the game high. When that ball's been there, it's been there for not very long. Ball up and away. And his influence, I think, was probably growing in that game, Matt.
Yeah, I think it was a big game for him today, given he didn't have a great autumn for lots of different reasons. The team wasn't playing well. Maybe it was just early in his career. And I think today was, you could just tell it was the sort of game he needed to get right, and I think he played superbly well for his 60 minutes.
Scotland go long. Fraser Brown is on, and Scotland, that's an excellent exit from Scotland. Over the top of the line out. Fagerson setting it up. Russell clearing to 40 metres out. And I'll try and keep track of all these changes. Fraser Brown on for George Turner. Simon Bergen on for WP Nel, who's probably puffing a bit. Jack Dempsey, the former Wallaby, on in the back row as well. And as Matt Dawson was touching upon, Ben Young's on for Van Poortvliet. Chesson wins the game. What a game Chesson's having. Ben Earl with a carry in traffic from Farrell's tip pass. 10-metre line in Scotland territory. Genge throws a dummy and sets it up on the 10. All over the ball is Gilchrist, but there for England. Sinclair's the first receiver. Has got Chesson with him. That ball has gone loose and Scotland are onto it. Then it's been knocked on by Scotland. I wonder if that's been noticed by the officials. No, there for Scotland, who trailed just by 1 on the hour mark. White looking for some space. Good kick, Ben White, but Stewart covers the ground so well for a big man.
Holding White!
And he smashes it downfield where Hogg is waiting. The man who captained Scotland to Calcutta Cup glory here 2 years ago, breaking a 38-year losing streak. Hassel Collins on his right boot. Neither team prepared to give an inch here. The Calcutta Cup in the balance on the hour. England 20, Scotland 19, and Scotland are running it out. Russell out to Van der Merwe. They've got to chop him down, England. Farrell just about gets him. And then Hassel Collins, they need 2 or 3 men today to get Duhan van der Merwe down. Good ball, Russell, Shades and Murrayfield in it, 2018. Ritchie out to Steyn. Steyn's past Youngs over the halfway line. Great ball to Hogg. Oh, we're going to see another brilliant Scotland try. No. That was a 4-on-2. What a chance for Scotland. What an opportunity. And somehow Hogg, Steyn and the rest have let it slip. England survive. England 20, Scotland 19, John Barclay.
I think it sums it up. England survive. They'll watch that back and that should be a try. It's a 2-on-1. I don't know who threw the pass. It was just behind Kyle Steyn, I think. Some break though from deep. Stuart Hogg up the outside. He's got Kyle Steyn inside him. It's just behind him. I think he should take that pass.
That was a poor ball though. Went at pace, poor pass. Still should have taken it, you're right. Scotland did all the hard work. Running out of their 22, it looked like they were running up, I don't know, like a dead end. Broke away. just flying down the right-hand side, over the 10, over the halfway. Easy ball inside, and it was probably going to be a 3-on-1, take your pick, under the stick, 7 points. It was going to be that easy. And, you know, talk about margins of error. When I say the pass is behind him, it's a foot out of position. And Scotland have 7 points under the sticks. My goodness me, are they going to get another one of those opportunities? Because that was gilt-edged.
Oh, what a chance for Scotland. What a try it would have been as England makes some more changes up front. Mako Vunipola is on. Dan Cole is on for Kyle Sinclair, his first test in over 3 years. An improbable recall for the Leicester stalwart. Dan Cole is on, and Nick Asikwa is on as well. Katie Daly-McLean, World Cup winner, on the touchline. Some tired bodies just sloping past you.
Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen the boys, especially Ellis Genge, walk off so slowly. They were absolutely hanging, Chris. But, I mean, the energy that's just come off the bench, you know, look, Asikwa, he's been bouncing on the touchline since the boys came back for the second half. And I think for me, he's going to be huge. You're going to need some more energy. But that try there, how it was butchered. You know, there's a no-look pass. That was absolutely beautiful from where I'm sitting here. And then the easy bits that the boys have just talked about were just missed.
Oh, are those the moments that can decide the Calcutta Cup? It's in Scottish possession. Are they taking it back up north from Twickenham? They won it in 2018 at Murrayfield. An incredible draw. What a comeback that was in 2019. England winning in the rain in 2020. Scotland backing up. 2021, then 2022. Where is the cup going in 19 minutes' time? England shade it by a point. They've got a penalty. That is huge. What a pressure reliever. And Dan Cole, looking to exercise some demons from that World Cup final in Yokohama, has made an immediate impression. That's why he is here. He's not going to carry, he's not going to offload, he's not going to do any of the tricks. He's going to scrummage, and he's won England a penalty as Smith belts it up to halfway.
Yeah, just what you need, and those types of characters, those apologies, Dan Cole, those old heads that can come into that front row with all the experience and all the wiliness. Invaluable to have someone like Dan Cole come on for 20 minutes.
Especially the way this game's going, it's going to tighten up, I think. We're going to see a bit more error in the game. Scrum set piece is going to be so important. If you've got a man in him who can win you 3 points or get you out of jail like that up the pitch, it's huge.
Yeah, it was a really good clearance from Marcus Smith as well. It means that England throw into the line out, 30 metres out. Chesham again, he is having a blinder on his first Six Nations start. He claims it in the line, and England numbers to the left. They see that. Here goes Ben Early, Youngs and Hassel-Collins. Hassel-Collins may have dreamt there of a debut Twickenham try. Again, it's carried by Chesham from Youngs' pass. 1 point in it with 18 to go. Youngs digs for the ball. Out to Ludlam. Some experience on the field now. As Youngs puts a little kick in, asking Hassel-Collins to chase. Nicely covered by Hogg, but it's bouncing up to Youngs. He fields Hogg's kick, and he's running into the 22. The Leicester veteran. 122nd cap, a male record for England and Ben Youngs. Driven on by Lewis Ludlam. As Scotland look to steal at the breakdown, they can't though. Will England look for a drop goal just to extend this lead? As Jamie George trucks it up, slap bang in centre field. 22, Owen Farrell with a tape job round his head, Terry Butcher style. Into the 22 goes the England captain. To the sounds of Swing Low around Twickenham. Mako Vunipola. More experience for England. Youngs, 22, delays the ball to Ludlam, who makes a metre or two. Youngs, well, shackled there by Scotland and Stuart Hogg. That could be a big intervention by Hogg. Penalty to England, though. Hands in the ruck by Scotland. Hogg did so well to sack Youngs.
But 18 can't use his hands.
But 18, Simon Bergen, is using his hands, and England will throw this over to take their 1 point lead to 4.
Didn't need to do it. There was a bit of momentum there for Scotland in that ruck. I think with the Scottish players, 2 or 3 that had gone into that ruck, they just concentrated on blasting through. I think they were up against, you know, maybe one England player, Jamie George. If they just smashed the ruck and stayed in their feet, I reckon they would have had that back.
It's a quick decision by Paul Williams. I think, like you say, Stuart Hogg hunts down Ben Youngs, catches him at the base. And it was too tempting. I think, like you say, they could have just counter-ruck, stayed on their feet. the damage could have been done that way, but as it is, England have the penalty, and surely a 3-point for Owen Farrell, taking the lead to 4. Big 3 points.
Yep, he knocks it over. Never a doubt that Farrell was going to take the 3 and kick it. England 23, Scotland 19. It's insufferably tense up here, Katie. What's it like on the touchline?
Yeah, the energy just rose up another notch down here. You know, it did start to get a little bit quiet, but that penalty has made a massive difference. People are on their feet now. The crowd are making a load of noise, and it's all to play for, isn't it?
Absolutely is, as Ludlam is hit hard by Steyn. England have made another change. Anthony Watson is on. He's had a torrid time with injury, but as we know, he is world class down to his bootstraps, and he is preparing to hair after this kick from Leicester teammate Young. So Watson on for Hassel Collins, who I think will be pretty happy with how his debut went. Stuart Hogg to Finn Russell, who's tackled by a combination of Earl and Asikwe. The energy from the replacements, but Earl has had a dabble on the floor.
Not supporting your
he
body
took
weight.
a gamble, Ben Earl. He didn't support his body weight. He gives away the penalty. Scotland with the chance to go back into England territory.
Yeah, and I think the referee's got that one wrong, to be honest. Stuart Hogg fielded the kick from Ben Youngs, fed it to his mate Finn Russell, who was really isolated. It was a great kick chase. Ben Earl made the tackle back on his feet. The referee's adjudged that he's off his feet, but
there's a back row for you. There's a back row commentating with his brethren to say that he was able to support his body weight. I'm not sure he's supporting his body weight from...
it's pretty close.
That's a tight call.
I'm not sure he's
borderline. Yeah,
But you're right.
I know you're good at yoga and all that stuff, but come on.
You can split, surely. No, I think there's a bit about execution, but there's also a bit about decision making and mental fatigue there. Is that the right decision to be making, to be really going hard at the breakdown? We're seeing Stuart Hogg's just come off in front of him as well. Blair Kinghorn must be going on to fullback.
Going sideways.
The margin so fine. The game in the balance. England 23, Scotland 19, but Scotland with a great attacking platform as Tuipulotu sends a short pass to Jones. Round the corner comes Scotland through Johnny Gray, the replacement second row. Good ball, Fraser Brown, winged out by Russell now. Tuipulotu to try scorer Jones, who's tackled by Watson. 22 inside England's half. 13 and a half minutes to go in the Calcutta Cup. 23-19 as Scotland go through the phases, looking for their 4th try at Twickenham. Another big carry by Johnny Gray. England are offside. Scotland have a free play. They've got penalty advantage. That could be huge in the context of the game. Out the back to Russell now, who kicks for Steyn. Will this sit up for Carl Steyn? Oh, it's millimetres in it. He can't claim it. And we'll go back for the penalty. Number 4, Maro Itoje offside. And John Barkley, you've captained your country to Calcutta Cup triumphs. So what would you do here in a 4-point game with a gimme 3 points? Take it or go for the corner?
Just so you know, John Barkley, this is one of Chris Jones's favourite questions. I'm so glad that now the pressure is on you as a Six Nations captain.
Do you know what? It's not a great answer. I don't know what I would do here. It's so tight. The problem you have is we've got 13 minutes left. Territory has been quite hard to get for Scotland, so they're down in the right part of the pitch. Do you back yourself, or do you take a feeling of let's get this to a 1-score game, back our discipline, back our defence, back our kick game? But do you know what? This is one of the best games I watched for a long time. This is proper test match rugby on a knife edge.
So you're saying, Matt, that I shouldn't ask former captains
what
they would do in that situation?
It's as if you thrive on these opportunities. Say, go on, I know you're going to squeal. Give me what you would do.
And the best bit is when they do the complete opposite to what you say. Yeah. As Russell takes the 3, he kicks it. England 23, Scotland 22. Katie is a former captain. What do you make of that call? 1-point ball game.
100% take the points every day. Like John said, 30 minutes is a long time, but when you've only got 1 point, gives you so many more options. Drop goals, long range penalty shots, all of those. But what's fascinating is how angry Stuart Hogg was when he's just come off there. He's thrown his jacket, very animated when he's been taken off there from in that sub. Yeah, eventually sat down, calmed down, put his jacket back on, but was furious in the initial instant.
He's played well, but he's not played a lot of rugby. I think the man in picture on the ball now. Blair Kinghorn, excuse me, not in picture, we're on radio. I'm getting too excited here.
On the ball. Well, those are the calls. That's why the coaches make the big bucks. Stuart Hogg has captained Scotland to 2 Calcutta Cups in a row, but he is not going to see this game to the end. And Scotland were trying to run it from their own half, and they've looked enterprising. They can attack from deep. We've seen it loads before. They've got the skill, but that ball has gone out to touch. And England, and it's exactly what the lawmakers don't want, England to take their time at the line-out. They want pace in the game, they want fatigue, they want it sped up. But England are all about now just trying to see out these final 10 1-point ball game.
Just have a little focus here on Finn Russell, who has played well today. He's looked dangerous, but has looked controlled. The way he holds the ball and uses the ball with his feet as well as his hands, there is no one on the planet who does it like him. When you see him live and you see the speed that everything's going on, it reminds me of a little, but the crossfield kick that we were oohing and ahhing about that Stain just missed, etc. You know, that happens in a millisecond. It's like watching someone like Roger Federer, who plays tennis in a completely different way. If you go and watch him live, he's making players run around, flashing backhands and Finn Russell does some really individual stuff that is phenomenal. How he's not a regular, I just don't know.
His brain works at a different speed, certainly to what mine did as a player, but certainly a lot of people. I think if you look at him, look at his passing game, but also look at the way he holds his feet, the way he brings defenders onto him. He reads the game and defences so well.
We're going to go to St James's Park for half-time in a moment, but what can England do? A penalty to England could be decisive as Young kicks. That's dribbling towards the try line. Well covered by Kinghorn. Can Malins get him? Kinghorn gets away and does very well, but England have a great chance now as Earl with Oceans to run into. Acres of Twickenham green space. Now Young's to Ludlam. He's a bit isolated. There are tired bodies out there. 1 point in it. Youngs to the left. Good pick up. Marcus Smith delays his pass and finds Farrell. In centre field. Youngs out to Smith. Will Smith kick? No, he delays it and gives it to Stewart. Stewart to Watson, who gets into the 22. Good tackle coming in by Hugh Jones. Bullet pass from Youngs. George to Mako Vunipola, the Saracens combination. 22, centre field. Smith goes inside to Watson looking for work. Again, you wonder if there's a drop goal on here to take it out to 4. It's so tight. 1 point in it with 9 to go. Smith stabs the kick through. That looks pretty handy. Well covered Kinghorn. Well played Russell. But Smith will have it in centre field. And he will look to the right, and Malins, who scored a couple of tries, Max Malins. 22 for England. Penalty to Scotland. As England infringe at the ruck, and this one is going to go right down to the wire as we go to half-time at St James's, Lee Blakeman.
Newcastle 1, West Ham 1. Joe Willock scored inside 40 seconds, disallowed because the ball went out in the build-up. Callum Wilson scored, though, a minute later. Nice finish off a Longstaff through ball. That one did stand. West Ham have played well, Chris. Equalised just after the half-hour. Paquetá scoring off a Rice corner. Good game, level at 1-1 at half-time.
Thanks very much, Lee. It's over on Sports Extra. And when this is finished at Twickenham, about 8.5 minutes to go, we will go to the second half of Newcastle against West Ham. Remember, 6:06 with Robbie and Chris, around about 7:30. So have your say on all the day's football as Scotland throw from the line out after that penalty. And a good drill. They have it on the halfway line through Ben White. And now every single play, every single decision is going to be under the microscope, because this game can go either way.
Well, and you've mentioned it a couple of times in the comms there. Drop goal could win this game. A couple of chances. Oh, that had to be close there. Had to be close to a long wiper from Finn Russell there. Very difficult to see where there was any chalk dust on the line. Whew, that was close. I think they might be watching the replay a couple of times, but difficult for the officials to see it. But yeah, drop goals. 3 points, crucial. Marcus Smith just slotting behind there, take it to 4. Scotland got to score a try. And now you can bet your bottom dollar that any opportunity, Finn Russell's going to take it.
7 minutes to go at Twickenham. England 23. Scotland 22. Where is the Calcutta Cup going? Young's kick as England look for territory. Kyle Steyn calls the mark. How are you feeling, John Barclay? Would you rather be up here? Yeah, I'd rather be up here or down there.
Sick watching this. This is, it's who's gonna blink, who's gonna break here. It's going to come down to an area. It's going to come down to a penalty, some ill discipline. But England have the upper hand, and the advantage of just saying, "Here, have the ball back in your 22, and let's see where you go."
Finn Russell on the ball inside his own 22. Kinghorn, they're running it against Scotland. They've been enterprising from their own half, sometimes to their detriment, but this is a decent counter-attack. Kinghorn up to halfway. They've made 30 metres. Duhan van der Merwe has been supercharged today. He sets it up. Here's Matt Fagerson. 1 point in it at Twickenham. 5 Live Sport and BBC Sounds. Good carry by Jack Dempsey. Advantage to Scotland. They might have a chance to win it. Great ball from Russell over to Kyle Steyn. Steyn into the 22. Despairing tackle by Stewart. But if Scotland show some composure, they can pick off England here. Fraser Brown, great hands. Scotland on the far side. Duhan van der Merwe must score. He's up to the line. He has scored. Another famous Calcutta Cup try from Duhan van der Merwe. And it looks like Scotland are going back to back to back. Are they going to do it again at Twickenham? But this time in front of 82,000. Van der Merwe's try, Scotland lead, and there are only 5 minutes to go.
And the skill execution we're talking about. We thought England can kick the ball long, they just have to chase, but Scotland with not only the bravery but the execution, the skill set, the passing by Finn Russell, and their ball retention. They got the advantage, which was all they needed, but then the composure. Finn Russell feeds Fraser Brown, and Richie Gray holds his feet. What a pass by the big man. And is there anyone else you'd rather have out there trying to finish that than Duhan van der Merwe? That is a superb team try.
I know it would have been a huge moment 2 years ago, coming here and winning it for however many years, but if Scotland go on to win this game, I don't think I've ever seen a Scotland side come to Twickenham play anywhere near this, John.
Certainly did when I was playing.
England have not been bad.
No, they've not. They've not. I think it genuinely has been an incredible game, and the skill level we've seen under pressure throughout the game. Because so often we see these games, don't we, where we start off 100 miles an hour and then fatigue kicks in, and it gives way to a bit of sloppiness. But they've kept the skill level high. Finn Russell, they're delivering the 2 points. It has been an incredible game of rugby.
Russell has kicked the goal. Scotland lead by 6. That was a magnificent team try, full of composure and skill, and then power at the end. And as John Barclay says, that's the man you want. He had loads to do, Van der Merwe. He took 2 or 3 English
outside the 22
defenders with him, as has been his want today. And England, with 4 minutes to go, are going to start the Steve Borthwick regime with a loss, unless they can score a converted try with 3 minutes and 45 seconds left. They want this man on the ball, Marcus Smith. He throws a dummy and almost gets away. Got away just about through past Kyle Steyn. 30 metres out, England. Mako Vunipola. Surely England haven't got another twist in the tail here. 29-23 to Scotland as Farrell shovels it on to Saracen teammate Jamie George. Ben Youngs to the left, Ben Earls on the ball, great ball to Watson. Anthony Watson almost up to the 22. There for Youngs, Atoje stationary, but gets it away to Ollie Lawrence, who's off the bench. 22 for the Bath man. Scotland looking to steal, but there for England, Mako Vunipola. What is it about these two teams throwing up thrillers at Twickenham in 2019, 2021, and here again in 2023? 3 minutes left. Nikasikwa helped out by Chesham. Can Scotland hold firm? The crowd in sensational voice. Scotland sensing history. England urgent. They're 6 down. There are 2.5 minutes to play. 30 metres out. Farrell to Lewis Ludlam. Almost up to the 22. Youngs to George, who's a little bit isolated. He needs some support, Jamie George. He gets it. Advantage. England have the penalty.
Yeah, but take the shot. Still, no. Go through the face. Have some patience. Well, get a freebie.
Youngs kicked it away, looking for Malins.
Yeah, I know. and they've done that a couple of times. It's a free shot. Go through the phases. Both sides are absolutely off their feet.
He's got an opportunity where he goes, okay?
But go through the phases and have a go. At least go through 3 or 4 or 5 and just see if you can bust, because the ref's always going to come back for that penalty.
Mate, you're absolutely right. And if you look back to the last Scotland try, they had the advantage and all they needed was 3 points. They needed 3 points, but they decided to keep playing, hold the ball. The referee's going to give you at this stage of the game 4, 5, 6 phases to let that play out.
More time. Clarity. I mean, what did Borthwick say to you? What did Maro Itoje say to you? What did Owen Farrell say to you? That this regime has given them clarity. Have they got it right now with a minute and a half to go?
One last shot for England. George finds Chesham. They're 10 metres out. They're trying to maul. Great maul defence from Scotland, though. Scotland have sacked the England maul. They're going to have to play at England. They're almost back at their 22. They just couldn't execute England when it mattered the most. They kicked to the corner from the penalty. That was the only play. They're 6 down. 3 wouldn't have been much good. It's slap bang in centre field for Youngs, who finds Itoje, who's a bit isolated. George misses the clear, but still there for Youngs, and now Ben Earl. How many metres out is this? 13 or 14? A Sequent trucks it on. What have England got with 40 seconds to go? Mako Vunipola, 12 metres out. Youngs has men to the right. The body's so tired, though. Smith inside to Earl. Great defence, Scotland, who are on the verge of history and looking for the steal. What's the referee going to do? It's going to be a penalty to Scotland, and it's going to be Scotland's Calcutta Cup yet again. They did it in 2021 in an empty stadium. But with England heads on hands all around us, little pockets of Scotland fans are jumping for joy. 2 Scots embrace just behind us. They've won the penalty. They can wind down the clock. There is no chance for England to come back. All Russell has to do is tap and send it into the stands. That's what he does. And Scotland have done it again. 2018, 2021, 2022, and now thrillingly 2023. England dejected. The Steve Borthwick regime starts with a narrow and brave defeat, but today is about Scotland. The men in blue are buoyant, and John Barclay takes a selfie with a very smug grin to my right. What a game, and what a win for Scotland, who have gone back to back to back, the hat-trick of Calcutta Cups.
It was, I keep saying it, that was some game. I can't wait to watch that game back again. I think so much to admire in the way both teams played, actually. And that's the funny thing about this. We knew this year's Six Nations, we talk about it in the build-up, was going to be tight. We felt teams might beat each other. I didn't see that on week 1. I didn't see the kitchen sink being thrown out, and I really commend the players, the Scottish players. I know there's question marks over. There's always going to be that caveat on that 2020 game. There was no crowd here. Did it mean as much? Was it as valid? But that slate is definitely wiped clean. That is a monstrous win for Scotland.
You can't call it in the cold light of day. We're nowhere near. We're in the thick of it. We're in the boiling cauldron of it. But there's 2 sides who have thrown everything at each other. A cracking game. It would just be wrong for anyone to talk about the negatives about why a team lost. That's about a team who won. That's about a Scottish team who have come down with confidence. They've come down with the style, with a brilliant rugby brain in Gregor Townsend, who has loaded his team with significant armoury to take on a good England side. And they went behind, they went ahead, they went behind, they've gone ahead, they've held out on their own lot. You know, they've had it. Scotland have had it all. And you know, let's put a little bit of context in here. If New Zealand have just won that game, we're shouting and screaming about they're the best team in the world. That's why they're. Or if Ireland have done that, that's why they're the #1 team in the world. You know, this is Scotland have got to absolutely take the credit they deserve here. That's a proper win.
I'll leave you guys to pick this apart further. Chappers are going to run down and try and get some reaction. What a game. Scotland with a hat-trick of Calcutta Cups. And after 38 years without a win at Twickenham, They've won the last 2. Incredible stuff. What a win for Scotland. England 23, Scotland 29.
Well, you go see if you can get some reaction. We're going to bring you the second half from St James's Park shortly, where it's Newcastle 1, West Ham 1 at the break. The start of that second half will be on Sports Extra, but we'll join it very shortly here on 5 Live. Matt and John and Katie are all still with us. I think, John, you alluded to it, and Matt certainly alluded to it as well. The nature of sport, when one team wins and one team loses, is to look at what went wrong for the team that lost. But actually, there's just so much to savour from both teams' performances. Or maybe John isn't there. Are you there?
Yes.
One of you? Anybody?
Sorry. Sorry, I'm in a daydream.
Are you taking more selfies?
I'm just taking selfies, pretending I was part of what happened. No, I think you're right. And the teams will pick apart that game, and there'll be error, absolutely. But I think for both sides, the positives hugely outweigh the negatives. And what we saw there was a real spectacle of rugby. From a Scottish point of view, I think they'll pull that apart. There'll be the chance that, Kyle Steyn missed. They could have scored another try, but who would have thought, come to Twickenham week 1 away from home and get a bonus point? It sets Scotland up very well. It also sets up the rest of the championship, but Scotland have been here before. Opening weekend wins. This game next weekend against Wales takes on so much more meaning now.
And they've been here before as well, Katie, in a good performance, but they're not necessarily winning. They took the lead, they fell behind, and as Chris said, they've won at Twickenham in front of a full house.
Yeah, I mean, it was a phenomenal game to watch, especially this close to the touchline, and you can, watching the Scottish bench and their management, it means everything to them, that game was huge. But I think, like you say, it's game 1, it's a new era for England. I don't think Kevin Sinfield and Steve Borthwick were ever going to come in and expect it to be an immediate. I'm sure there'll be things they were pleased at, and there'll also be things that they want to go away and work out. But for me, it's the beauty of this tournament, You've got to get back on the horse because you've got another very tough game next weekend, and it'll be fascinating to see how this England team develop as we go through it.
You can get different perspectives from depending where you are in the ground, and you're kind of pitch side, Matt's higher up. So for you, Katie, first of all, pitch side, what do you take as a big positive from an England perspective?
I know we talked about England's defence, and we can probably break it down into system errors or tackle errors, but I think the energy of which that England started the game, you can start to see that Kevin Sinfield effect. I think they looked energetic, there was a lot of high five, and there was a lot of positive kind of reinforcement of the good stuff. So I think for me that was huge from England, but all credit to Scotland. I think they really took it to them. So I think defence will be something they want to kick on. There were some lovely moments of attack. We know what Nick Evans have done with Quinn. So I think for me it's about the excitement, it's about the potential this England side can have, and what we will see, like I say, as they go through this tournament.
What did you see, Matt? Did you see greater clarity?
Do you know what I did, Chubbers? You've heard me plenty of times over the years, particularly over the last maybe 5 or 6 years, of trying to work out how do England actually play. I know they've got great players and they've got a strong set piece, etc. But what's their plan? And it was much more apparent to me today. There was probably still a little bit too much kicking for my liking, of maybe not understanding how the opposition were defending when England were kicking, and there was more opportunity to counter-attack. But apart from that, I thought there was clarity. I thought that they're very clear on the individuals who need to be taking the ball up. They're moving. I thought Marcus stepped up and got himself into very dangerous positions more often, and I sort of understood where Owen Farrell sits inside centre. I'm not saying that's maybe the answer, but it makes sense for this setup. And they are very capable as an England side of grinding a team down territorially with possession to then strike and score tries. And they did that superbly well against a very well orchestrated Scottish defence. So yes, there are positives to take away with the England performance. However, there were yet again opportunities that I would expect senior international players to be making in the last knockings of a game, either it be drop goals, discipline, territory. That really, if you expect to be winning these games, you've just got to do that, Mark. It's Test match rugby. It's not Welford Road, Franklin's Gardens down at the Rec. It's Twickenham, it's Scotland. They're baying for blood. You've got to make the right decisions at the right time, and most of those tough decisions come at the end of the game.
You said you wanted to watch it back, John. When you do watch it back, you will be seeing some sensational individual tries and some good team tries as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you look at the players that they picked. I thought the big calls really stepped up today. I think Ben White was superb, scored an opportunist try. I thought Kyle Steyn was, whilst he maybe didn't get the headlines and Duhan van der Merwe got those, Kyle Steyn, when he looks back at that game, the work he did in and around kick chase, some of his contributions to the try were superb. He's been in great form for Glasgow, but like what Matt says, it's a different level to come to this stage in this type of setup and make that jump, and he did it. I thought Hugh Jones' return to the international scene in a starting jersey was hugely encouraging, and my big question was, could Sione Tuipulotu transfer that form that he's had at Glasgow this year? And it looks like they're building a team around him, and I guess to go back, I think having that player in a Tuipulotu outside of Finn Russell is invaluable. He does so much good. He takes the ball flat to the line, he can distribute. We saw his grubber through for the Hugh Jones try, but we also is a battering ram. And to go back to, we're talking about the Smith-Farrell axis, for me it doesn't work, and that might not be a popular opinion, but it is.
Why
mine.
not?
The reason I say that is because England were great when they're going forward, and it's not a criticism of either player, but how many times did we see Marcus Smith carry the ball to the line, and it wasn't because there was a hole there, it's because he didn't have anyone outside to carry it. He had 14 carries. That's the third most in the whole team as a 10, and I think too often when England lose their shape, which it happens in games, it's all about losing your shape, but it's how you get back into shape is more important. I think if you have someone outside, and I'm not saying Manu Tuilagi is the answer, but Ollie Lawrence, someone who can bring that power game and also that distribution, you can find your shape that bit easier. But what you end up with in a Smith-Farrell axis is we saw Smith carrying the ball, we saw Farrell carrying the ball, and whilst they're fantastic attacking players and rugby brains, what they probably aren't is dominant ball carriers.
Do you keep the Smith-Farrell axis, Katie?
Chappers, come on now.
Well, I'm just following it on from John. I'm just following it on from John.
It's a fascinating question. I think for me personally, they're too similar. I like the balance that Scotland have. Like the boys have talked about, Tuipulotu is a direct carrying centre, and I think that allows Finn Russell to do what Finn Russell does best, which is pulling the strings. I worry and I wonder for England whether, like we've talked about, are Marcus Smith and Owen Farrell just too much of a similar mould? But again, synergy comes from time spent together. Have those boys spent enough time together week in, week out in an England shirt? It is a very, very interesting question, and one I'm sure we will debate for many more time as Scotland is the Calcutta Cup. So, I mean, I'm a big fan of Manu. You know what he brings. He brings that directness. I do think we need a bit more balance in our midfield, though. I think as a midfield, England are still quite light. Marchant, Farrell, Owen Smith. We need somebody in that mix that gives us that direct route one, in my opinion.
Matt, do you want one on this?
Well, I mean, everybody knows my opinion on this. I don't think it's an international class 10 and 12. I think if you're the opposition, you're sort of thankful in a way that you haven't got someone who's going to threaten at 12. When you've got the danger of Marcus Smith, what makes him incredibly say more dangerous than other fly halves? Of course, he's got incredible individual skills, so you've got to mark him. Well, if you're marking him, I guarantee you've probably got 1.5 or 2 players marking him, therefore there is space for other people. So just by having other runners around him, and particularly a 12 who can exploit the holes that Marcus Smith can create, that's why you want to play someone like Marcus Smith. You just go to the club environment with Harlequins. You've got Oosterhuizen, who's he's a right proper handful and causes chaos, but a lot of that chaos is because everyone's worried about what Marcus Smith's going to do. Yeah, John Barclay's just told us there. Did you say 14 carries for the fly half?
14 carries, meters made 11.
Well, so I mean that says it all. It means it's taken it into traffic. He's made negative yardage on average. That's an utter nonsense. It really is. And I know that's harsh, but when they're looking at the stats, that's a terrible statistic for a fly half. But you can't blame him because he's trying, but he's just not got the options that he's used to. So, a very long-winded way there, Chappers, to say no. I don't think it's right. But very, very quickly on that though, and I know Chris Jones quite rightly has been talking about that a lot. Steve Borthwick's backed himself into a corner here. He's given Owen Farrell the captaincy. He's made life really difficult for himself. Can he drop him? He's not just dropping Owen Farrell now. He's dropping the captain. It's a tricky one.
Still Newcastle 1, West Ham 1 at St James's Park. We will be there shortly. Just a bigger picture one here, John. So next week at 4:45, Scotland against Wales. You feel, don't you? Well, you don't feel. You know that Scotland have been in a position like this before, and then it all sort of fizzles out. What an opportunity next week to make sure it doesn't fizzle out.
It's absolutely, and it's one of the biggest frustrations as a player and now as a fan, which the players are all too well aware of, is that record. And you look for answers, and part of the answer is the quality of the opposition, and we've got to consider that when we consider the results. And I think the quality of the competition is even greater this year. But if Scotland play like that, like they have done today, and Wales play like they did today, Scotland win that game and they put themselves in a great position. But it's that great thing. You will see a reaction from Wales. Of course we will. At Murrayfield, we're going to see a reaction. But I just think there's enough guys, and I hope there's enough guys in this team that have learned those lessons and understand what's required and understand how to go to back home and put in another massive performance and tee themselves up and put themselves in a position where
I'm just going to jump in, John, because as Scotland celebrate with the Calcutta Cup, we could get some reaction from the England camp. Maro Itoje live with Chris Jones.
Yeah, live in the tunnel with the England secondary, Maro Itoje. Maro, incredible game, so tight, but the wrong side of it. What was the emotions out there on the pitch?
Yeah, ultimately disappointed. We just weren't good enough today. Fair play to Scotland. They were clinical when they needed to be, but there's a few things that we got wrong as a team, but they're fixable. So we just need to work hard, stay positive, and try and move forward.
What were those things you got wrong, do you think?
Well, obviously there was a little bit of penalties in the middle third, which kept us in our half. Then other bits were line breaks here and there, staying connected in D. So they're things that we can fix.
And confident that despite an opening day defeat you can recover and still make a big impact on this tournament?
For sure. This is the first game of a new coach, new campaign. We obviously wanted to win. We fell short, but we're going to stay positive and move forward.
Thanks for your time, Maro. Cheers.
Thank you.
Maro Itoje with Chris Jones. Plenty more reaction throughout the evening here on 5 Live. Remember earlier.